few vocab terms today. The first one is a term. And a term is a part or parts of an algebraic expression that are separated by addition and subtraction signs. A coefficient is the numerical part of a term with a variable. Like terms are terms that contain the same variables, and a constant is a term without a variable. So if I write an algebraic expression here, let's do 3x plus 7y minus 4x plus 10. And I've just made this one up. Let's talk about some of these pieces. So a term is each one of these parts individually that's separated by addition and subtraction signs. So we would have 3x, a 7y, a negative 4x. Make sure you're understanding that subtraction signs go with the term behind it, and a 10. Coefficients are the numerical part of a term that has a variable. So look at all the terms with variables, 3x, 7y, and minus 4x. The coefficient is the number, so the 3 that's in front of the x, the 7 in front of the y, and the negative 4 in front of the x. Like terms are terms that contain the same variables. So a like term, anything that has the x, you can see you have two terms here that have x's. So these are like terms, 3x and the minus 4x. And then the constant is the number 10 back here that doesn't have a variable on it. So let's identify the like terms in each expression, just the like terms. Remember, like terms are terms that have the same variable. So here the like terms are 3x and 4x. In example 2, we have 5x plus 3 plus 7x plus 4. Our like terms here are 5x and 7x, but we also have the constants 3 and 4. So we have two sets of like terms, the x terms that are like and the constant terms that are like. In example 3, we're to identify the terms, the like terms, the coefficients, the constants in the expression 6x minus 2y plus x minus 5. So the terms, that's each piece individually separated by addition and subtraction signs. So we would have a 6x, a negative or a minus 2y. Remember that subtraction sign, if we do add the opposite, is going to make those terms behind them negative. We have an x or a 1x. Make sure you understand there's a 1 in front of that. And a negative 5. Our like terms, remember, are terms that have the same variables. So we have a 6x and a 1x that are like. There aren't any other terms that have a y, and there's only one constant. Coefficients. Remember, coefficients are the numbers in front of the variables. So we have a 6, a negative 2 that's in front of the y, and a 1 in front of the x. Even though it's not written, it is implied. So anytime you just see a variable with no number in front of it, it is an implied 1. And then the constants, in this case, it's just one constant, and that's the negative 5. So you need to be able to look at an algebraic expression and find these different items. And here's why we want to be able to do that, because we need to be able to simplify these expressions. So simplest form is an algebraic expression that has no like terms and no parentheses. And to simplify an expression means to use the distributive property to combine like terms, or simply just combine like terms, whether it's through addition or subtraction. So let's look at some examples where we need to simplify the expression. Remember, simplify the expression means to combine all of the like terms. So the first thing I'm going to do when I look at an expression is I'm going to underline the terms that are like that need to be combined. So we have 4x plus 6 plus 2x. Hopefully you recognize that the x terms are like terms and they need to be combined. Well, how do we combine them? Well, we simply add or subtract depending on the signs. So we have a 4x plus a 2x. I'm kind of skipping over the 6 right now. Well, what's 4x plus 2x? That's 6x. And you can rewrite these if you want to, if that will help you put things closer together. 4x plus 2x is 6x, and we still have the plus 6 in the back. This expression has been simplified. There are no like terms left over. I cannot add these two pieces together because they are not like terms. This term has an x, this term is a constant, and so this answer is simplified. Let's look at example 5. We have 5n plus 2 minus n minus 6. And the first thing I'm going to do is change my subtraction signs to adding the opposite. And I'm also going to rearrange. Notice we have 2 n terms and we have 2 constant terms. But I'm going to put those pieces closer together. So I'm going to switch the 2 and the negative n. So that gives me 5n plus, and I'm going to put this in parentheses, negative n plus 2 plus a negative 6. Now what we have to recognize is what's happening right here. This is a negative n, and the question is how many of them are there? Again, there's no variable, or there's no coefficient written in front of the variable, but again, it's an implied 1. And in this case, let me write that a little more clearly. In this case, it's a negative 1. So if we're going to combine these two terms, 5 plus a negative 1, well, what is 5 plus negative 1? That's 4n. Then we have 2 plus negative 6. So that would be a negative 4. 2 plus negative 6 is negative 4. So you can say plus negative 4, or you can change it back to a subtraction sign, and you'll see me do that often. 4n minus 4. This expression has been simplified. We do not have any like terms. We've combined the two pairs of like terms that we had. Now for a lot of you, you won't have to do all of this rewriting. You'll be able to just look up here at the original and say 5n plus a negative 1 is 4n, and 2 plus negative 6 is negative 4 or minus 4. Example 6, we do need to distribute before we can simplify. So this is where the distributive property comes in handy. And we want to be very careful here. Recognize that this is a negative 3. And that negative 3 needs to be distributed through the parentheses. We can also change this to adding the opposite if that helps. So we have a 6y plus negative 3 times x is negative 3x plus negative 3 times a negative 2y. That's going to be a positive 6y. And now we need to combine our like terms. We only have one pair of like terms, and it's the 6y's. You can rewrite the expression if you want and put the 6y's closer together. So 6y plus 6y, that's 12y, plus a negative 3x. And remember, I don't often say plus a negative. I like to write it as a subtraction sign. That's how you'll see it on most worksheets and books. So 12y minus 3x. We have the expression simplified. We cannot combine these final two terms because one has a y and one has an x. And in class, we'll work on worksheet 4 too.